I'm hitting on click go live. Yes, I think we're live. People can see us. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on whichever part of the world you're joining from. Please let us know if you are able to see us. I think we are live. Um, yep, I think we are live. We can see a lot of comments coming in. Let's quickly check the platforms though to see if we are live. So we've got this event streaming across 3 platforms. We have it on LandingAI's YouTube, we have it on Pathway's YouTube, and the main destination is the LinkedIn event where most of you would have already registered. So this platform does not sync so very well with LinkedIn, so we don't get to see the live stats here. But then there's an issue. Please feel free to flag it. We don't want you to miss out on this event. Wow, 680 people are attending it right now. Cool. Let's start it off. Welcome everybody. With me today, I have Ankit. Yeah, Ankit, thanks for being here and enabling everything that is out there for the folks today.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for welcoming me.
I'll just share my screen and we'll take them through the presentation that you and I created, right? And then, yeah, that's a good flow. So Ankit, yeah, so a quick introduction is like today we are in this particular webinar. We have Dan and Olivier waiting in the background. We're going to focus on decluttering document chaos, if I have to say it that way. And Dan is the CEO of LandingAI. Ankit will do his intro. We have Olivier, who's Director of Product, Pathway. The session will look like in this format where we are here at the stage. We're doing the session introduction. We're welcoming you all, checking if everything's going live and perfectly. We have a crazy number of people joining in, so there's some lag here and there, but then I think all of you should be able to hear us with some lag, even if there it is. And then we'll jump into the hackathon introduction because this particular webinar is a precursor to the hackathon, Ankit.
Yep.
Yep. And right after that, we'll do a quick introduction of the hackathon for you to know what it is all about. And then this after this 5-minute segment, we'll have Dan. He'll come and share a very interesting component around working
Agentic.
with yes, Agentic document extractor. That's the marquee product that Landing has built, and essentially, as I understand, what it does is it really enables you all developers to build and work with complex documents, and very core component of the entire accuracy challenge that we typically look at. And then we'll have a presentation by Olivier, who will talk about real-time indexes, live indexing, using that with MCP servers, and so on and so forth. And towards the end, we'll have the Q&A. Sounds good? Yeah. And by the way, for all of you today, these are your hosts. We have Ankit and...
Thanks, Mudit. Hey, everyone. Really excited to see you all here. So many folks from so many different places. So my name is Ankit. I lead developer relations at LandingAI. And I'm super excited. In just 10 days, we are kicking off Hack with Bay, the financial agents hackathon at Microsoft Office in Mountain View, which is co-hosted by Pathway, LandingAI, and DevNovate. So today's session is your on-ramp for the hackathon. But even if you aren't planning to participate, stay tuned, because the lightning sessions are going to be really packed with insights on agentic AI and real-time AI. And then you can take it back to your own projects. So a quick peek into October 3rd. We have professionally captured footage, so all your energy and projects are going to be celebrated. We will keep you well fed with plenty of delicious food and snacks, so no one's coding on an empty stomach. And most importantly, we have lined up a fantastic group of mentors who are ready to guide you with their technical direction and scoping. And I would like to do a huge shout out to Aviral from DevNovate, who's doing all the heavy lifting for all the logistics and organization for this event. Without him, this wouldn't really happen. And special thanks to our co-organizer, Pathway, especially Mudit and Oliver, not only for co-driving this hackathon, but also for joining us today to deliver this precursor webinar. So between the coverage, the food, the mentorship, and our incredible partners, everything is in place for you to focus upon what matters the most, which is building useful, trustworthy financial agents on October 3rd. With that, I will invite Dan, our CEO at LandingAI, to start with his presentation and lightning talk. Hey, Dan.
How you doing, Ankit? Thanks for the intro there.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, and I'll just hand over the stage to you from here.
Yeah, perfect. So first of all, thank you everybody for attending, and yeah, thanks for the great intro there. And really excited about the hackathon that's coming up. And really what I wanted to do here with the broader team was lay a little bit of the foundation about what we're seeing around the world of, as the theme here is, basically going from the world of, I often say internally, from the world of chaos to order, or that world of unstructured data and getting into a structured dynamic. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that today, and how that applies to the financial services area, and maybe set this team up collectively for how things, where you can focus on during the actual hackathon. So let me go ahead and share my screen here for a moment. Put this here. And we will get rolling. So let me put this in slideshow mode. Yeah, so, as I said, one of the key things we wanted to talk about, and the capabilities that we're going to be making available to you at the actual hackathon, is our agentic doc extraction. And really, it's from our point of view, this is really an exciting time where, classically, I would say, as many of you know, the majority of the world's data is in an unstructured environment. A heavy dynamic of that is in documents, images, and often that has been left out of, whether it's enterprises or academia, et cetera. It's kind of been left out of the equation because it was too complex to handle. Maybe simple documents that might have alt text, OCR would do a good job on. But, as specifically we've been talking in the financial services round, when you're dealing with, or the financial services vertical, you're dealing with complex financial tables, 10Ks that are hundreds of pages long, with different forms, complex tables, images, charts, et cetera, in that, how do you take that world, that unstructured world, or that world of chaos, and turn that into, the term here is around trustworthy intelligence. So what I'm hoping to do today is kind of set this up for you, and lay the foundation, and excited to see, in the bigger picture, what this team will build. So first, what I'd like to go through a little bit today is a little bit more just on, I'll say, the bigger picture on LandingAI and agentic doc extraction. Talk about how that trustworthy intelligence and how that applies in financial services, opportunities with ADE, and then most importantly, excited to see what you'll build, at this hackathon and beyond. And of course, getting the support from the great team that's going to be assembled there, and the mentors, as Ankit and the team have called out. So just a little bit about the company before we jump in here. So LandingAI, two key things here. So I think we've been really a pioneer in the realm of visual AI, and specifically around the agentic first approach. So I remember when Andrew and I, about 24 months ago, really started talking about what we saw as the benefits of bringing a agentic reasoning or agentic first approach into the world of visual AI, and how we thought it could kind of change the game. I think at that time we were one of the few people kind of talking about it. I think what's happened over time here is, I often joke, as marketing's got a hold of the term and everything's now agentic and AI agents, et cetera, but it's kind of some core tech that we built around agentic, and built into our platform, and have really been able to test this out across, hundreds of thousands of developers and a ton of different enterprises, and really kind of put this to the test. And we've already actually processed over 1 billion images and documents in this arena. So I think that the platform to build on that will kind of, for you as developers, allow you to take this, whether it's into financial services, healthcare, life sciences, manufacturing, wherever you're dealing with that world of unstructured data, you can trust that, we've kind of built an agentic vision platform that is solid, stable, and with Andrew and the team, he's assembled a great team behind him here at LandingAI to ensure you're getting the latest and greatest, as far as what we can deliver to the market. One thing I did want to share with this team, this is something I often get around, what does agentic really mean? A lot of enterprises, when we go in, they're starting to actually have budgets for agentic, and so on, and they're starting to try to really kind of get their arms around what does it mean to build like an agentic system and so on. So I wanted to just go over a couple things here just very quickly. So when we often talk about what agentic means at LandingAI, we talk about kind of more broadly a system that really can do everything from the planning up front to making decisions and then acting and executing on that across whether that's heuristics or deterministic code, ML models that are purpose built for specific challenges like documents, as we'll talk about in a moment, and LLM. So really the blending and the orchestration of those three elements together to deliver agents and tools really to the end users that allow them to, I'll say with very high confidence, know that result that they're receiving is highly accurate. So I think a lot of times, sometimes when people talk about LLMs, they love LLMs, but LLMs are often non-deterministic. Are you, 100% sure what you're getting is accurate, and accurate every single time? Maybe you get an answer one time. And again, I think LLMs are great for a lot of what they do, but it's just like if you're asking a human, if you ask your friend that you're with today, what did we do yesterday? They'd probably explain to you what they did at a high level. Then you could ask them that same question a few hours later. They're going to tell you again. It's probably going to be in the bigger picture mostly right, but it's going to have slight differences. That's kind of how I often refer to LLMs for people that aren't as technical. So the whole goal around agentic is to increase that accuracy and performance by blending heuristics or deterministic code models and LLM together to choose which one is right to solve which problem. That same mantra can be applied into the world of document extraction and what we've done with agentic document extraction, or as we call it, ADE. So same concept here, but we've literally built code, what I would call vision specific or document native vision models and LLMs, kind of pulling all those three together to do things very purpose built around things like parsing and document splitting. Again, the different capabilities that are associated with the realm of ADE, so or agentic document extraction in this place. So again, taking that agentic approach and applying that down into the ADE layer. One thing I will say, though, as I've talked with Andrew about this over the time, to us, it's less critical about agents, agentic. There's a lot of definition about what AGI means, et cetera. I think our broader point is, AI is in a sense kind of on a different, or is on a spectrum of where it's going. I think the key thing is, getting your hands wet with more and more around AI, starting to, play with agentic reasoning approaches, agentic frameworks, starting to apply agents in the area, and slowly but surely, starting to automate more and more on the process. I think that's really the key that we're saying to developers and to enterprises out there is get started, tackle a lot of that low-hanging fruit. But at the end of the day, we believe that this approach from an agentic dynamic is really going to be game-changing for a lot of enterprises and taking things from experiments with LLMs to really being able to put things into production. So to break it down, I like to break out our approach really in three major pieces here. First and foremost is around the foundation in and of itself. So our foundation is heavily focused around really being an expert in the realm of building what I call like document native vision models. So I think the benefit that you'll have at the hackathon here is, first of all, on the strong foundation. So we understand how to handle complex documents, complex layouts, all the content associated with the document, regardless of, we talk about different chunk types that are in there, such as figures, text, tables, newer dynamics coming out like a marginalia, attestation, card, et cetera. There's so many parts that are associated with documents of all, across all different industries. The document native vision models that we've built out will have a deep understanding of that information within a document and be able to really surface that information into the next layer of when we think about agentic doc extraction, which is really around basically the key parts around parsing and the routing of that appropriate information. So once we take a look at a document, regardless of what that document, no matter how simple or complex it is, we can actually parse that information and put it into two key formats that allow developers to do a lot with that. So we often take that information and can take a document and really parse that entire document. So not just individual fields in it, but literally parse all that information and put that into Markdown and JSON And then what we're able to do with that information is route that accordingly to various agents at the final level that I'm going to talk about that allow you as developers and as really ultimately end users to engage with that information. So the final piece is where, and especially in the hackathon, where you'll be able to kind of leverage our APIs to build purpose-built agents. We've got a lot of customers that are using, taking this information, dumping it into, they can be doing many different things, dumping it in a database, into some type of RAG system downstream, whatever it might be that they want to do with that, into some type of AI agent that allows them to do querying on top of a financial document. So it almost is like a junior analyst, or in utilities, taking a look at utility bills and being able to extract out critical information, ask questions of the documents, et cetera, et cetera. So really, again, all these agents and apps allow you to do powerful things on top of the documents, like field extractions. So think of field extraction as like key value pairs, document splitting, where customers might often have invoices that are hundreds or thousands of invoices in one document. How do you look inside a document and pull out each invoice? Some of them are 1 page, 2 pages, or even a mortgage file that might have W-2 information, pay stubs, IDs, passports, et cetera. Pulling that information out, even though it's all in one file. So these 3 kind of core elements are really the core of what agentic document extraction is, and we continue to add more. If you think about our API, we continue to expand the surface area of that, but at the core of it is the super accurate foundation that we've built in the document native vision model. Sometimes also, I think this is a core element that people often ask, really why LandingAI? So kind of for this broader development community and so on, I think there's really 4 key things that we kind of see as our core expertise here. So first and foremost, I think our deep expertise in computer vision and spatial understanding, and really Andrew built a very strong background in this in his days, obviously at Google, running whether it was over at Google, whether it was running kind of the AI efforts over at Baidu, et cetera, as far as all of his education and teachings and so on. I think that what Andrew's built over years of visual AI R&D and expertise, and assembling a great team, has been super critical to allow us to understand how to build things like document native vision models. So we've been very focused on building more broadly domain specific vision models for quite a long time, and applying this into the realm of documents has been extremely valuable. And then I think a lot of people might have expertise in classifying, information. LLMs actually sometimes do a good job in general, but to have that spatial awareness or that high precision localization to be able to do what we call like visual grounding into documents. So you could basically process, hundreds of thousands or millions of documents inside of agentic doc extraction, and we'll be able to tell you, if you're looking for something in a certain document across all those millions of documents, which document, which page, and which chunk has that occurred, and even new features coming out like inside a table, which cell are you referring to? So that ability to kind of do that high precision localization is really key. I think also on a broader system, we really understand, due to the fact that we've been working with enterprises, and I highlighted a little bit about this before, but we've built a very strong agentic, vision stack here, and we've really been working with, as I said, hundreds of thousands of developers and a ton of different enterprises across many different verticals to really make this a production-proven agentic document extraction or agentic visual system. So we'll handle, like I said, that orchestration of multimodal intelligence, and broadly more critical is that semantics around that visual reasoning, right? So that deeper context around a document and what's the pieces and what's making it up, and how things fit together is core. And like I said, I think the proof points are that we've done this for over, 1 billion plus documents and images, and that was actually a number from this past summer. So that numbers continue to grow. I would say a third part that really is essential, and we see this continuously, is really the foundation where Andrew and Daniel Virata and some of the team have talked about data-centric AI foundation. I think that's still core, even as we move into Gen AI and agentic dynamics, the core of data and that data-centric approach is still really critical. So we continue to focus on building, capturing and having a very large set, but a very high fidelity domain-specific set for solving different challenges inside documents in the world of documents. We continue to get continuous feedback. We have capabilities in our playground to get feedback directly from humans, as well as AI providing us continuous feedback into kind of improving our actual foundation layer that we talked about with those document native vision models. And then we talk about schema and format aware data pipelines. So I think these three aspects together are a critical element to the third piece, which is that data-centric AI foundation. And then last, I think this is really important in dealing with if you're a developer out there selling into enterprises, or you're a developer or MLE, et cetera, potentially working inside an enterprise out there in the market today. Not only is it important to have scalability and production proven capabilities, but the ability to have the compliance, security, and the integration is also a critical part. So we've made our APIs available both as, or I should say, basically as a SaaS offering, VPC or on-prem, in Dynamic as well, so to fit the different demands of different enterprises. And we've gone through and started building out the different, SOC 2, HIPAA, GDPR, ZDR, so zero data retention support, and so on, and ultimately building what I would say is a robust API and associated Python library to allow you to be able to easily integrate into downstream tasks or apps, because we know we're only one part of that pipeline. So I think these four pieces are essential as a builder that you can trust when you're building on top of our platform. So one thing I wanted to call out here, and again, the team had told me that this was very focused around the realm of financials and financial services. So I kind of wanted to call out the way that I've talked to some of the largest banks and financial services, insurance companies, et cetera, around the world, and I think there's some key things that I often see these companies trying to solve for. So first of all, when you're talking to some of the largest enterprises or institutions out there in the financial services realm, these companies are often massive and dealing with many different aspects. It could be wealth management, asset management, institutional securities are often both on the buy and sell side. So there's a large number of people that are part of these companies, and they have a diverse set of clients. So one of the key things they're often trying to do is get this unified view, or the 360-degree view of their client. Their client is core. A lot of times they'll talk about things like, know your customer. They're often also trying to be able to help companies and individuals, from the early stages, from private to public. I had one firm that I was working to that talked about, from cradle to maturity, and knowing that, there's multiple entry points that these clients can come in from, and often need to do work across divisions. So these companies are often looking for inside. They're often looking. And again, so whether they're building things kind of in
Dan, hello. I think there's some issue with your audio. It just went away around 15 seconds ago. Yeah.
agentic document.
I see there are folks commenting there's no audio. We've taken a note of it. We're just fixing it. Yeah. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, Dan, feel free to refresh, log out, log back in if you need to.
Yep. While Dan is rejoining, you all can just hang around for a few minutes. A quick note: I see a lot of folks are networking in the comment section, which is beautiful. Please ensure that your comments are relevant to this particular discussion as such. That way, it will be easier for us to curate the questions. Yeah, Dan, can you try speaking now?
Yeah, any better now?
Great.
Yeah, well, cool.
All right, team. Hey, sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but yeah, let me jump right back in. Okay, so again, I think I was kind of in where potential friction may exist. So I think here there's many. I'll sum this up as large companies across many different divisions, many different types of document types, many different regulatory, and specifically in financial services, but many beyond even financial services, dealing with regulatory, compliance, security, et cetera. So when you think about the dynamic of helping a company with their unstructured data or document processing intelligence dynamics, you're really looking for a platform that you can build on top of to basically be able to kind of address a lot of these natively in the platform to allow you to focus on the downstream tasks or downstream applications or agents that you want to build. And really, I think that's where ADE can help with this overall, what I'll call underneath the trustworthy intelligence is integrated intelligence. So if you think about all of these different types of document types, from things like know your customers, financial board and audit materials, 10Ks, S1s, et cetera, all of these types of different documents can be understood by pushing them into ADE in a zero-shot manner. So you can parse once and do many different types of schema and extractions on that. So think of it like parse once, extract many. And again, I've already talked about some of the compliance and other pieces that we handle in the different development types. So let me take it one step forward here. As I know we're getting a little bit close on time. I think the crew told me I had around 20 minutes or so. So let me just say here, this could be a theoretical, and I'll just say like a document processing use case for like a Morgan Stanley, a JP Morgan, big companies. So I just said here, this could be something that some of these large companies are looking at as an example use case here, right? So when I go kind of left to right, so one of the first things that a lot of these major enterprises are often thinking about is, how do I understand my customer and my client better? So know your customer is KYC is often a critical piece. And inside this arena, they're often dealing with things like IDs. So it could be your driver's license, passports, bills, account statements, beneficial ownership. And you can imagine these companies trying to understand and validate you are who you are. You're coming from different locations from around the world. Documents and pieces are different in United States as they are in Europe, as they are in Latin America, as they are over in Asia, et cetera. So this is quite a complex dynamic. So the ability to help them combine this unstructured information with this structured information and also information from third parties all into one location is really critical. And as well, they're often doing additional things, looking at things like around the client and investment reporting. So you might do things around K1s, look at investor reports, et cetera here. So the ability to look at, as you can see here, these documents are all quite different looking, from complex forms, check marks, tables that are complex, merge cells, et cetera, et cetera. But again, from our point of view, this is the real world, what customers have to deal with. So again, as we move kind of to the right, also looking at things like regulatory and compliance filing. So, they have hundreds, sometimes these companies are thousands of, junior analysts or risk analysts, et cetera, taking a look at things like these prospective shareholder reports. And not only do they want to be able to extract the information out of it, but they really want to be able to as I said, validate accurately where that information is coming from. So a lot of the pre-built capabilities inside agentic doc extraction that you'll be taking advantage of in the upcoming hackathon, you'll be able to kind of now visualize, hey, I really can, depending on what my use case is, and like I said, specifically in the realm of financial services, there's so many different vertically specific use cases for banking, for insurance, and beyond. And then last, just again, another example here would be around, trade, financial statements, and the processing of this. And so you're looking at things like, ISDA term sheets, borrower financials, et cetera. So again, to look at this dynamic, to be able to handle this, this complexity, really it kind of opens up now where you don't have to focus on the complexity of getting that information and getting it, LLM ready data or whatever you want to call that data. Know now that you can trust in this, and then you can focus on building those downstream application and agents accordingly. Again, whether it's as simple as some type of chatbot on top of that, or blending this with structured and unstructured, data combined to do some type of things in other areas like, revenue cycle management and helping you with insurance claims, et cetera, maybe over in the healthcare life sciences arena. Really, there's no boundary from, different vertical we can attack. So I know we're kind of coming to an end, so I'll kind of leave it at this. I want to thank everybody for the time today. Excited to see this group. Those of you that can attend next week over at Microsoft, which Ankit kind of laid out a little bit around that, and most importantly, excited to see what this team will build. So thank you for the time today. Appreciate everybody.
Thanks, Dan. Question, Dan.
You bet, bud.
Somebody was asking if there's a way to redact sensitive info at the time of document processing.
Yeah, great question. So we don't, there is a way to do that. We don't do that naturally with inside ADE. A lot of companies actually redact that sensitive information as part of pre-processing. But again, I will say this kind of big picture, for things and features and capabilities that are more and more requested, these are things that we can ultimately add in very, ultimately quickly to our API and Python library. But we have recommendations out in our community about, how to handle redaction upfront as kind of like a pre-processing step.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan, for taking out time and doing this awesome session and presentation.
You bet. You bet. Thanks again, Ankit. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks a ton, Dan. So we're halfway into the session. We have 350 folks still live, and we'll jump into the second part of the segment, which will be taken by Olivier. We covered a great deal about really doing kind of a zero-shot solution towards really complex documents. Kudos to Dan here. And now we'll jump into the segment where we'll understand how you can go about building agentic or RAG solutions for financial use cases or non-finance use cases, where your indexes need to stay live or you have data that is coming in, which is live streaming data. So with that, I will quickly invite Olivier to the stage. Hey, Olivier, you're live. You're on mute, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Thanks for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this webinar. I will try to share my screen.
Yep.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Yes, you're audible. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, just one second. Today, I'm gonna try to show you how to bring time to your LM. So let's start with, let's consider a simple question. Is there unusual volume in Intel stock today? Okay, that's the kind of question you might want your AI financial agent to answer for you, right? So I give it a try and I asked Mistral last week this question on the web app, and this is the answer I got. I currently don't have real-time access to stock market data, including trading volume for Intel today. So it's interesting to notice that it knows the date but couldn't answer. It gave me some explanation on where to find this data after this message, but it didn't have access to the data. And I take a look at when the model was updated for the last time, and it was nearly 1 month ago, August the 27th. And it means that this model was totally unaware of anything that has happened since then. So even if he knew what was happening on the market data, all the knowledge he had was already outdated. It's really for this kind of matter, like market data, you cannot work with last month data, and that's when you realize that LLMs are stuck in the past. And more generally, LLMs have no notion of time. If you download an open source LLM and you run it locally, you can ask him like, what's the date, what's the time, and he will have no clue. He will not be able to answer this question. He might understand the question, but he has no way to answer that. And that's a shame, right? Because in many topics, having real-time intelligence is not optional. In finance, of course, if you are doing fraud detection or you want your agent to react to market shift, it needs to be able to understand what's happening now, right? With real-time data. And you have other topics like logistics, where you depends on the current traffic, right? When you need real-time data, and other topics like healthcare and so on. And on those topics, real-time intelligence is not optional; it's a must. And working with outdated data is not just frustrating; it's costly. So it can cost lives in the worst case, so like healthcare, but more generally, it's a business risk. It can just cost you money, right? Because all the decision you would do on the market without relying on real-time data is highly risky. And the fact that LLM are stuck in the past is not a bug, right? It's by design. A quick reminder on how LLM are created, right? People take a snapshot of all the data they can find, and then train the model on this snapshot. So, and this snapshot becomes the absolute ground truth of the model. That's this model view, worldview. And the problem is that this snapshot is static, right? You do it at some once in a while. For the last Mistral, it was done August 27th. So you take all the data at that time, it doesn't change, and you train on this data. And by the time you deploy your model, it's already outdated, right? Because market data change very fast, and it's often incomplete. For example, if you are deploying your agentic model in your company, you might want your agent to be adapted to your own documentation. And fortunately, it doesn't know about it, right? Because that's private data. But the fact that it's private means that LLM have no idea about this data. And so you need to make up for that. And fortunately, there have been some solutions to overcome all of those limitations. Right? The last couple of years, we have seen a lot of ways to improve LLMs. First is sorry, I'm missing a slide. So the first is that if some data is missing, you can put the data directly into the prompt, right? That's called prompt engineering. Given this data, ask this question, and you can do that for Q&A, summary, translation. And the issue is that you have a limited context. You cannot put all the data directly in the prompt, right? Because the LLM cannot handle that much data at once. And that's how we come up with retrieval augmented generation, RAG for short. The idea is to only select the document that are the most relevant for the query, right? So you index all the document, And whenever you have a query, you find the most relevant document, like 5, 10, 20, depending on the use case, and you only insert those documents into the prompt. So given those 5 documents, answer this question, okay? And that's how you overcome the limited context in LLMs. And more generally, we have been like a lot of effort have been made to develop powerful tools to improve LLM pipelines and to make very powerful agents. For example, a lot has been done on document processing, like LandingAI, right? So now we have amazing parser, OCR engine, and so on. And also for the RAG, you need indexing. So now we have vector DBs, hybrid search, graph-based search, and many others, like also like agent orchestration, benchmarking, and so on. And yet, in most of the cases, there is still one major limitation. All the data is considered as static. And everything is done on the data once, and the data is not updated. And once in a while, you start from scratch and you do it again. And that's what's happening with the Mistral model. It was updated last month. Maybe we're going to have an update in a few days or maybe next month, I don't know. And meanwhile, between the two updates, your LLM is working with outdated data, right? Is missing some part. It has no idea of anything that has happened in September, for example. And that's surprising, right? Because all data is dynamic by nature. Financial data, of course, market data change by second. IoT data also, weather data. And even the documentation, some data that seems to be static, but actually it's not. In your companies, your documentation keep on changing every day, right? You remove all documentation, update, and add new one. And that's something your LLM pipeline should take into account. And if we go back to the first question, is there unusual volume in Intel stock today? Your AI system cannot solve this on its own, right? It needs real-time data to answer this question and not historical snapshots. It cannot answer these questions if the only data it has stopped yesterday. It needs the data of now, what's happening right now. And that's what real-time data does. And if you provide real-time data to your LLM, so instead of having periodic updates, how does it work? Is that every time the data change, there is continuous update. So the entire system should be updated to take into account those changes. And that's how your LLM will work with accurate data, fresh data. So the first question would be like how to make your LLM access such data, right? And one solution is what we call Model Context Protocol, or MCP for short. MCP is a way to connect your AI pipeline, your LLM, to the external world. So it's a standard protocol to connect your AI application to external system, like data sources such as market data, databases, and any kind of tool. And one of its advantages is that it's standardized, meaning that it's very easy to use, and you can really plug and play with different sources. So in a nutshell, how it works is that you connect all your data sources and tool to an MCP server, and your LLM can access this data by going through the MCP client. And why using MCP is interesting, and why not using APIs? Is that because it's a lot of work you only using API. If you are doing your own API for each data source, you're going to have a custom API for each data source or tool for your LLM app. Using MCP allow you to have a unified API. So that's the same API for everyone. So you really can, once you can really plug and play different data sources tool to any MCP client, basically. So now we have a way for the LLM to access any kind of data or tool. So if we want to bring real-time data to LLM, what we need is real-time data processing frameworks, like Pathway framework. Those frameworks allow you to connect to streaming sources like Kafka, Live API, market data in real time. They really push all the updates in real time. And also they provide data processing. If you think about the question, is there unusual volume of Intel stock today? You not only need the data, the raw data, but you need to make some processing to see if there is an unusual movement, right? You cannot, the raw data is not enough. And you need to compute this in real time. You cannot wait. It doesn't make sense to have real-time data if you need to wait 1 hour for the analysis, right? And that's what real-time data processing frameworks do, right? They connect to the raw live sources, do the processing in real time, and serve you fresh and accurate data analytics. So as a quick example, we can consider real-time RAG. So it's a RAG that connects to the dynamic data sources. So be it, so you can connect to live data streams, as we said, Kafka, but also your Google Drive, local files, and everything. It's still live because, as we said, documentation is changing. You can update your documents. And it does have a real-time index. So every time one of your document change, the change is forwarded, propagated into the index. So whenever you ask a question to your system, it really rely on the latest available document. So it's very accurate, right? It's based on the data such as it is now, not as it was 1 hour ago. It is very reactive, and that's also, I mean, it's important for trust, but also for more sensitive matter like privacy. For example, if you have very sensitive data, and for like some legal reason, like GDPR, you need to remove this data. You cannot wait. I mean, you cannot afford to wait 1 week that the system just purge this data, right? The change has to be reflected in real time, and that's what real-time RAG does. How does it work? It's fairly similar to a regular RAG. So you have a user that asks a question. That's point number one. The LLM client, instead of answering directly with the LLM, just request some data to the MCP server, and the MCP server fetch the real-time data and forward this data back to the MCP client, and then using the LLM, it can answer the question. And where the magic happen is after the MCP server. Everything is done in real time using Pathway or any real-time data processing framework. This is part where which is reactive, where all the data analytics is happening in real time. And this way, your LLM is not working on historical snapshot, right? But it's for really working on live data. So I told you, it's not only a matter of accuracy. It's first, it's also a matter of trust. Would you trust a system answering question on the market data without any access to the market data? Of course not. And that's the thing here. The fact that you are working on real-time data makes user trust your system because they know it's based on the fresh data that reflects what's happening in real time and now. Similarly, the system is responsive in a matter of seconds, not hours. If you ask this question, you don't want to wait for 1 hour, and that's one of the key capabilities of real-time data processing. And with those that's how you get an active decision support tool, right? That's without the speed and the trust, you would not use your decision support agent in production, in your um, in your work. The responsibility would be too high, and that's why like bringing real-time data to your pipeline is a way to make it production ready. So Pathway provides several templates like the real-time RAG. It's very easy to try. You can try it for free. You can connect to any your system to any data source, Kafka, Google Drive, name it. And we provide many connectors, but you can do also your own to be sure you connect to the data that you want. We do provide real-time indexes, so to make sure that your RAG is working with the latest version of your documents, of your data. You can use the LLM you want, and for those that don't want to do too much Python, you have a ready-to-go template you can configure with YAML configuration files. And we do have an MCP server too, and you just need to link the links. I wanted to share something, but can you see? Okay. Okay, so if you go to Pathway templates, you have several templates available that's very ready to go to templates. You just, for example, you can go to the question answering, which is a vanilla RAG, basically a real-time RAG. You have the tutorial on how to set it up, and you can have the source on GitHub. So you can download it, play with it, update it, own it. And we do have also a tutorial on how to set up a MCP server with YAML templates for those who are interested. Okay. So as a conclusion, we have seen that LLMs are working with stated data, with their frozen view of the world. And it's incompatible with many topics where you need real-time data, such as finance. And the way to go is to use MCP servers to be able to connect your LLM pipeline to external data tools, such as real-time data processing frameworks, like Pathway. And this way, by using LLMs with real-time data, you can make sure that your system is reacting to now, what's happening really now, and not stuck into the past. Thank you very much. I think.
Thanks a lot, Olivier, for that presentation. We'll pick one question. Like there are a couple of questions. One is a bit more on the LLM training side, not ultra relevant to this one, but I'll let you choose if you'd want to pick this question or not. This question from Subhanjit: how do LLM models balance memorization and generalization during training? You want to pick it or skip it?
I would say I'm not really an expert. I'm not sure my
Okay.
answer. I have my opinion on that. I'm not sure it's very relevant.
Okay,
Sorry.
fair enough. Your opinions are usually relevant, but we'll move to the next question. A very small thing, by the way, Subhanjit. You can go to the homepage of Pathway right now. Some of the questions to your answers, you won't find the answers to them right now, but there's a waitlist on pathway.com's homepage itself. I would strongly recommend you go and sign it up on that, because there might be some relevant things for you to find out as the waitlist is acted upon. Apart from that, there was some summaries that people made around, some use cases that folks pointed out. There was one question, there are a ton of comments here, so it's difficult for me to find out. There was one question that how do you ensure that the real-time data that you're retrieving is actually correct?
That's a good question, and that's where like benchmarking is also something very critical. and hard, and a lot of people in the industry have been struggling with that. So it depends on the data, of course. For example, for market data, you could use something like Data Bento, which provide real-time market data, and then you kind of hope it works, because I mean, you have no other way, right, to make sure the data itself is correct, because if you checked with another way, it will take longer than correcting directly to the source. But this case is a bit extreme. What I would do is having some tests on historical data. You can work and then make some tests. Test-driven development is a good way to go. Generally speaking, you want some question and from which you know the answer. You test your system on that and try to push this as much as possible. But that's a good question for real time. There is this notion of trust. You should be working with tools you trust.
Right. And then I think there are also techniques around fixing issues with real-time data processing, right? Like, for example, out of order data and all those kind of problems. Is that correct?
Okay. Yeah. So it's true that whenever you do real-time data processing, you have a lot of issue like consistency, out of order, and that's why finding the good engine is important. So there are not like thousands of engines on the market. Pathway, Flink, Spark, and all of them have their constraints. They can offer you different properties, and you have the one pick the one. So Pathway take care of that for you by default. We make sure we have a very nice constraint. Or we reorder the input if there is out of order data, but that have a cost, so you can configure it. And once again, I think what's very important is to make sure you know exactly how your system should behave in such a case, and then you experiment. You pick the right engine. Most of the engine allow you to tweak for this corner cases.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Olivier. With that, we are towards the end of the segment by Dan and Olivier. By the way, it's a bit late in France, so thanks a lot for joining us at this hour. Really appreciate it, Olivier, for
My
joining.
pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much. Folks who are just live right now, I would request you to hang around. There are a few things that we want to quickly complete. There were a few questions around Landing AI's playground and all. Eva from Landing AI was kind enough to drop the link for it. And Ankit, can you give a quick walkthrough of it so that it's easier for people to go through it? Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So one small thing as a disclaimer before we jump into this presentation is that there's going to be a dedicated tutorial as well as like more of a community showcase. We reached out to a few folks in the Pathway and Landing AI community to understand if any one of them has built projects using both of them. There were quite a few. We have picked one or two of them, and we'll be putting out a dedicated blog for you to follow in case you want to just replicate the architecture and build things on your own. But for now, let's jump into the Landing AI playground. Over to you, Ankit.
Thanks, Madhut. Yeah, before starting, I would like to thank Oliver myself as well. Thanks for taking time, Oliver, in that time zone. Yeah, means a lot to us. Okay. So I will send the same link in the chat again, va.landingai, va.landing.ai. So you all can just use this to sign up to the platform. It will provide you $10 API credit. And the playground itself is free to use, which means you can just pop in your PDFs and then see the extractions live. So for demo and trial purposes, so far we have kept it free. So you feel free to try out as many complex layouts as you would like. But yeah, for now, let me just share my screen and walk you over the playground real quick. because that's one of the most fascinating things that we have built, and I believe that you would really love it as well. I'm going to share my entire screen and open this same URL that I sent. So for me, I've already signed up. That's why you see this interface. For you, it will be all that Google login or your email login, okay? So once you do all that and verify your email, you will see this interface. And then you will have to select this offering, agentic document extraction. That was the focus of Dan's talk, right? Here you have the ability to drop in your own files, or you can try some example files if you don't have anything handy. Okay, so I can click here on this invoice. And as you can see, on the left, you have a preview of the invoice. And on the right, you have the markdown corresponding to that preview. So if you click here, you will see this figure, this chunk that is classified as figure. The markdown corresponding to that has been displayed on the right, right? If you select this text chunk, then it will move to the markdown corresponding to that chunk. So this way you can traverse through all the visually grounded chunks and get to see on the right the corresponding markdown segments, and as well as the JSON segments, right? So similarly with JSON, if I click here, it goes towards and points towards the exact chunk on the left, and vice versa. If I click here, it will go towards the JSON chunk on the right, right? So this is what we call visual grounding in the world of intelligent document processing, and that is extremely useful because of the obvious reasons, right? Audibility and provenance. Okay, second exciting thing is this extract. This comes in extremely handy when you want to extract specific fields out of these chunks, right? Like for example, here you want just one or two, and you might have a lot of these documents with similar looking fields, and then you might want to extract those specific fields from all those documents, right? So in that case, this becomes extremely handy. So you can put in your schema, or you can construct one from scratch by using this feature. And then you can apply that schema towards all those documents to extract those specific fields. Cool. And then the last feature is this Q&A. You can chat with this whole PDF by asking your questions here, and then it will reply, right? But yeah, be mindful that this is not production grade. It's just for demo and testing purposes. But yeah, I think this is really cool for quick smell test, and you can really get a hang of the performance of agentic document extraction or your complex layouts. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to try this out. And I cannot end without highlighting this Luma page for the upcoming hackathon on October 3rd. Super excited, super pumped for this event. I really urge you to join, to register. And then we are actively screening. We are actively accepting requests. And all the details Mudit has put forth here, all the judges and mentors list. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. But yeah, definitely go through this link and apply. And I'm super excited to have you there on October 3rd.
Thanks a lot, Ankit. For those of you who could not get the link, it's luma.com /HWBay. That's hack with Bay. So, and there's one question from Dr. Jens. It's around LandingAI, I believe. Is it possible to extract the embedded links? I only received the visible URLs, but not the embedded hyperlinks. Interesting question. Ankit, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Is it possible to extract the embedded hyperlinks? I only received the visible URLs, but not the embedded hyperlinks. What do you mean? Like, do you have a specific document and there are some hyperlinks within that document to extract that?
But not.
Is that the question? I'm not super sure. If you can reply in the chat box, I'll be able to read.
In the interim, there's one question which is slightly generic in nature, but which says how
How
safe is it? Like,
Yeah,
I think
it's the same
probably,
question that
yeah,
Dan answered.
I guess Jose is trying to understand for production or not. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have ZDR, zero data retention policy. You can opt for that, and in that case, your data will not be shared with LandingAI or anybody as such. So it's definitely safe in that context.
Thanks. And if your question was relevant to Pathway, so one of the core reasons why people tend to use Pathway is the mission criticality of it, even for LandingAI, as I understand, by the way, because um, there were a few questions where it I mean, a few people wanted to understand how it's really different from a few other parsers. So if you really focus a lot more on the segment that Dan took, it will kind of uh, help you understand and appreciate where it exactly ends up being totally different. In terms of Pathway, it was initially started with the idea of kind of serving some mission critical applications. Real time data is one of the core components of it. People tend to go after it. And then if you saw the segment that Olivier covered where he mentioned about a few challenges like consistency and out of order data, those things are managed by Pathway automatically. So when you're building your agentic or RAG workflows, it's taken care of. It's production ready, not an issue with that. Yeah. And you don't really need to use any vector DB of sorts. So you're sorted, you're good to go with LandingAI plus Pathway. I think with that, we're towards the end of the session. And it's almost afternoon, mid-afternoon in the Bay right now. There are folks who are joining from India. It's midnight in India. And there are folks who are joining from Europe. It's roughly somewhat, I mean, there are folks from Latin America too. I think there are a few friends of mine from Chile, and then there are the folks joining from Europe. So, well, different folks joining from different time zones. I'm so glad that 250 of us stayed back till the end. Thanks a lot, Ankit. Any last comments from you before we log off?
Yeah, there's an exciting series, Will It Extract? On our blog stack, you will find episode 1 of that, where we compare all these frontier large language models and natively multimodal models like ChatGPT, Thinking 5, Grok 4, and such. And then we compare their performance on different documents and images, in relation to AD, agentic document extraction. And I think that will bring a lot of concreteness to the question on how this parser might be different from others. So feel free to check that out. And as I said, smell test your most complicated documents on the playground and let me know how it goes. I'm really excited to see you all during the hackathon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. This one question, how do you get the link? So we cannot pin, I don't know if you can pin the link, but it's luma.com/SWB. See you there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.